Do you want to make more passive income? Do you want to invest in real estate? And have you thought about investing in real estate out of state even? Hi, I'm Jim Fong. I'm an investor and realtor in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I've been helping investors like you for over a decade now invest in rental properties from out of state even. I've been doing this since 2005 and been helping many investors acquire a property once a year even. And I really believe in investing in rental properties to create passive income. I myself have been acquiring at least one property a year ever since I started doing this too, and I can help you do the same thing. Check out the video and we'll get into this right now. All right, so you want to invest in rental properties out of state, all right? I receive these calls or inquiries from online all the time, and it's always, it's from somebody who wants to invest in real estate. They've saved some money, they're ready for other investments, they want to create some passive income for themselves or their family, and it just seems like maybe the market that they live in is not perfectly ideal. Maybe there's, greener pastures, right? Like, for example, I've helped a lot of people from California invest in properties here in Las Vegas because home prices in California are so high, right? So maybe they can't get an investment property there, but they can get an investment property in Las Vegas because the prices are lower and they can afford it more, right? I get these calls or inquiries online, and I always start with just a little questionnaire, right? So what is your goal? Well, if the goal is to make more money, we get that. Okay, that's what investors do. But how do you want to make more money? All right, is it focusing on your short term as far as making a lot of cash flow early on? Or is it more of a, I want this to be a long-term investment. I want to invest in something now. I'm probably not going to sell it for like 10 years. I just want it to appreciate in value over time. That's another strategy there. So first we have to figure out, how do you want to do this, right? What kind of investment? Is it a long term? Is it for a cash flow every month? That's an important thing, right? Second of all, if you want to invest in Las Vegas, for example, I want to know, how familiar are you with our city, right? Like, what part of town do you want to invest and why, right? A common misconception I get is people say, hey, I want to buy in Las Vegas and I want to buy right near the Strip because I know everyone works at the casinos and I'll always have a renter. All right, that's kind of true, but if you're in Las Vegas, you're gonna know that, anything near the tourist areas are a little more transient, right? So are you willing to buy a property knowing that your tenant is going to turn over every year, right? Because like most people that move to Las Vegas, including myself, when we first move here, we want to live right near the Strip and all the action, right? But after that first year is up and it's time to renew the lease, we kind of reconsider those things. We're like, hey, I want to live kind of in a more quiet area, more residential, I don't want to be near all this crazy party stuff, That's important too. So know the geography. What part of Las Vegas do you want to invest in, if that's the case? I mean, here we have 3 different cities even. We have the city of Henderson, the city of North Las Vegas, and we have Las Vegas too. So understanding that and the reasons why, all right? That's an important thing. And when investing in places out of state, it may not be Las Vegas, all right? I also invest in properties out of state from Nevada as well too. And the key factors that I'm looking for when I'm investing out of state is I want to look at the economy. Obviously, you want to know that it has a strong economy. There's job growth there. The population is growing as well too. That's an important sign, because if you live in a town where the population is decreasing, that probably means like the younger population is moving out. That's usually not a good sign for driving values up or having rents increase and things like that too. So I'm looking for a city that has a strong economy, the population's growing. For example, I like college cities. I like cities with colleges, focus on education, and it attracts younger people. Generally a good sign for the economy. Having a younger population gives a city a very strong workforce too, to build this economy too. So I look at those factors. Also, we have to look at taxes, right? Each state has different taxes as well too. Here in Nevada, luckily, there is no state income tax here, and that's one of the big benefits of why people are investing in Nevada in general, right? Other than that, what are the tenant and the landlord laws like in each state, right? There are certain states that are where the laws are very favorable towards tenants, right? In California, my investors always tell me, oh, this guy hasn't paid rent in over 6 months. I can't get him out. I need to store their belongings. For the eviction process, it seems like a headache. Well, Nevada has one of the more landlord-friendly laws by state, I guess. So that's something for you to consider. Other than income tax, you got to think about property taxes because you're investing in real estate too. So you're going to have to consider, what kind of property taxes the state has that you're investing in, right? And then also there's insurance, right? A market that I've been that I always keep up with is Texas. It's another no tax state, which is very favorable. But one thing I noticed is that their insurance is a little high. They do have natural disasters, things like that, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever, things like that. Florida has you have to worry about hurricanes, and there's places you have to worry about earthquakes and things like that. Something else to consider as well too. Know that about the state that you're investing in. So now you've decided what state investing in, what city, and you probably know what location even. Or if you don't, how would you decide what part of the town to invest in? What I do with my investors is we look at properties and we start considering different things, all right? Very first thing with an investment property, you're gonna have to consider the rent that you generate. First thing, let's figure out what's a reasonable expectation for the rent that you're gonna collect on this property, right? So you figure that out, look at the cost of it and all the expenses that are involved too, whether it's property taxes, HOAs, utilities, all those things. You add all those things up and then you figure out if the rent that you collect on it is enough to cover all your expenses on this property, all right? That's something that we need to do an analysis on each property. Once you start doing this enough, you start getting familiar and you start identifying good deals and good investments much faster. But that's what I'm here to help you do, all right? So we figure out, what we can say, hey, this part of Las Vegas in Summerlin, hey, it has really high rents, good school zones, it's a great return. I think, we can do that. Or if you really want to focus on, appreciation, maybe you buy something very exclusive that, you're not making a lot of cash flow every month, but 10 years in the future, it's prime for you and you make a big chunk of appreciation. Who knows? But that's stuff that I'm here to help you do. So once you work out all the numbers, we have to identify a property for you, all right? And let's say we get a property for you. The numbers look great. You're making a positive cash flow on it. It's just a good investment. We get into the property. Well, now what do you do, right? How are you going to advertise it for sale? What if it needs some renovation? Do you have contractors to help you paint and do flooring and landscaping and all those things to get the property ready to rent out? That's something that you have to consider as well. The cost of those things. How are you going to market this property? Where are you going to list it? Where are you going to post it? How are you going to screen your applications, right? Like, how are you going to check their credit? How are you going to verify their employment and things like that, all right? Those are other things you have to consider too. And once you get them in, who's going to come do the walkthrough for you for the property, right? Because when a tenant moves into a property, they're going to point out a couple things and you're going to have to address them, right? So if you're out of state, who's going to do that for you? Or are you going to do that yourself? Probably not what I would recommend. Don't do it yourself, all right? Because you don't want to come into town if you live out of state just to check that there's no weeds in the yard or anything like that too, right? So, you got to think about who is going to take care of all these things for you, which leads me to, I would recommend most out-of-state investors work with some type of property manager, right? That's somebody that's here on call 24/7. If a air conditioner goes out, you have someone here on the ground for you to come check out the property, do repairs, all those things, right? What if your tenant is not paying rent or something like that? You want someone here that understands eviction laws and the process to go through as well. 2, I recommend my out-of-state investors to work with a local property manager, all right? And you may ask, well, how do I decide which property manager to use, right? So, a lot of things, I've interviewed many property managers over the years. Of course, you want to know how much are they going to charge you, right? You see property managers charge anywhere from 5 to 10% of your rent that they collect for you. What does their management services include, right? Are they going to charge you every time there's tenant complains about something, every time there's a repair? Who's responsible for paying for those repairs and coordinating the repairs, all those things? you need to work with a good property manager, and it depends on what the agreement is. There's not a one set rule for how property managers need to do their business, right? Some property managers do a more all-inclusive service and some are more minimal. So that's important for you to decide as well too. I can tell you that cheapest is not always the best and most expensive is not always the best either. So I mean, you do need to find the right fit for you, and I think communication is important. How will you receive your rents every month? You know, what happens when leases need to be renewed? Are we going to adjust the rents up to, you know, adjust to the market? If rents start going up, is the property manager going to do that for you? All those things are very important, but that is pretty much sums up an initial consultation that you'll get from me. If you're looking to invest out of state and possibly Las Vegas, these are things that you should start thinking about before you start investing out of state. Now, I just want to thank you for watching my video. Please check out some of my other videos about real estate investing. Thanks for watching.